Hi everyone, welcome to Woolen Spinning. This is episode 60 and I want to thank you so much for joining me in this place. My name is Rachel and I can be found pretty much everywhere on the internet as Well for Pearls, and I'm coming to you from just outside of Vancouver, British Columbia, where I live with my husband and our 2 kids and our 2 dogs. I hope that you are enjoying the weather wherever you are. We have had snow this past weekend, which is so weird. And of course, we were sick last week, and I wanted to thank everybody so much for your well wishes and for being so lovely about there not being a show last week, because it wasn't what I intended and it wasn't what I wanted, but sometimes you just have to stop and look after yourselves and your family. So thank you for your understanding. For those who are new viewers to the show and are just checking this out for the first time, this is a spinning podcast. We talk about everything hand spun and hand spinning. To those who are returning viewers, thank you so much for joining us. And to those who are Patreon subscribers of the show, I want to send out an extra special thank you to all of you for keeping the support of the show going and for keeping the show on the air week after week. I really appreciate you guys. For those who have early access to the Woolen Spinning Radio Show, which is a Patreon-only podcast, you have received your link and the post. And for everybody else for Patreon, it will be available tomorrow. So you will see that come up in your email inbox that you have access as of tomorrow. And I also have drawn a winner for our stitch markers and mug giveaway, which are for our Patreon subscribers for the show. When I hit enter on the random number generator, I hit it twice by accident. So there were 2 numbers that came up. So we have a double giveaway this month, and it drew Candy and also Bodil. So congratulations to both of you. If you could just get in touch with me and let me know if you would like a mug or if you'd like to choose some stitch markers from my Etsy shop, and I will send those out to you. Just let me know what you'd like. I think for the ongoing giveaway for Dying to Spin and Knit by Felicia Lowe, there's a book giveaway going on. Have a look back at episode 58 for all of the details about that giveaway. Put your entry into the February episode thread, not into the March episode thread. That is going into the February thread, and I will draw a winner probably next week or the week after, since March is kind of a long month. I think that's it for major housekeeping for the show and for stuff that I need to catch you guys up on. I have the most beautiful light coming in from the window here, and I just can't believe what gorgeous twilight we're having here tonight. So excuse me if I keep looking past you and out the window at the birds in the trees. So yeah, please excuse my manners. I wanted to give a shout out to the Fruity Knitting podcast. They are a team, husband and wife based out of Germany. They did a really cool interview with Deb Robeson recently. Andrea was able to interview Deb and sit with her and talk about the Fleece and Fiber Sourcebook. And it ends up being a really cool interview about breed-specific yarns and different yarns that you can use for different knitted articles of clothing. So if you are interested in breed-specific yarns, which I have a feeling you are if you are here and watching this show, you may find that episode really super interesting. It's an awesome podcast and really well produced, and so I would recommend it anyways. But I would really recommend anybody who's a fan of this show to head over there and have a look at that show, and they are on YouTube, and I will link to that particular episode in the show notes at wellforpearls.com. So I have some color studies for you today. I have some breed studies for you today, which we haven't done for a long time. And I also have some spins in progress. I was really hoping that I would have my fireside pullover finished today. I'm about yay left on the second sleeve, but I just couldn't get it done. And with being sick and everything, I just put it aside. So I'm hoping that that'll be finished next week. I have to, for those of you who will remember me waxing poetic about this sweater back in the fall, I have to scour it after I finish it. So I'm actually hoping to get some FO photos of it before I scour it and before I clean off all of the old lanolin. And I'm hoping to do sort of a comparison before and after of what the clean sweater looks like versus the old lanolin rich sweater. So fingers crossed that works out. Thankfully, I have some Unicorn Power Scour, and I'm going to use that on it because I'm hoping that I don't have to use really super hot water to wash the sweater. Beth Smith has some really good information on her website about using Unicorn, and that she's had really good success without having to use really hot water. So fingers crossed. All right, so let's start with color studies just because that's really fun. I spun up a little bit of our summer colorway, and I also spun up some of our sunset colorway. This is about 25 grams each. Unfortunately, from a distance, you're not really going to be able to see what I did with this yarn. From your perspective, I'm sure it just looks like singles yarns that I spun up. So I'm going to insert some photos here, and I may even try to get some footage of them. So hopefully that will be coming in just a moment. But I made 2 crepe yarns, Rick Rack yarns. I learned a lot, and let me just talk about the colors for a sec, and then I'll go back and talk about what crepe yarn is and what Rick Rack yarn is. So our color studies in our Ravelry group has been ongoing, and it's we've been studying split complements, and the summer colorway is really more what I would call a complement colorway with the orange and the blue. They're just it's a complement. So but I spun them both as the singles originally, and this is 100% merino. That was the one that I chose in the Farm Fairy Fiber Etsy shop. I chose the 100% untreated merino. And I was hoping that if I spun the singles on both of these and did sort of a similar yarn but a different wrapping color, that it would show the colors quite differently. Neither of these yarns have really, to my eye, have really changed very much about sort of what the original color of the fiber was. This one was our sunset colorway, no, summer colorway. And I wrapped this one with gold. So I took metallic gold thread and I spun the singles, and then I spiral plied it when I plied it. And the gold against the camel colored yellowy orange here is just beautiful. And I have to say, it looks really nice next to the green. I was really happy with it, and I thought, I wonder what it would look like if I went back the other way again. So I put extra ply twist into both of these when I spiral plied them to the left. So spiral plying, in this case, I just basically did a traditional 2-ply when I went to ply them. I didn't try to create like big coils or anything, and I wasn't pushing them up to create coils or anything like that. I was just doing a traditional 2-ply. These aren't slub yarns, so I wasn't worried about getting the slub sort of around the thread. I just did a traditional 2-ply. So unfortunately, I didn't add enough ply twist in that first step, that when I went back to ply it again with the thread again going the other way, which is what created the wrapping of the crepe yarn, it didn't create that real Rick Rack feel like it was supposed to, because I just didn't ply them tightly enough in the second step of making this yarn. So there's areas of the yarn where it looks a little bit like Rick Rack, where it worked a little bit, but overall, and in the overall yarn, it's underplied. And that was really interesting to me, because it really was a good reminder of how much twist merino can take. And if I was to make this yarn again, I would make the singles, and then when I went to ply it with the thread, I would actually put it back through the wheel again before then wrapping it a second time and putting it back and plying it back to the to my right. So you spin your singles, Z twist, you ply S twist, and then you put it back through going Z twist with the thread again to create this wrapping technique. The other thing, I steam finished these. So after I pulled them off onto the Nitty Naughty, I steamed them. And I was having a lot of trouble steaming it properly. It just wasn't setting properly. So I ended up actually filling up a big soup pot of water, and I put my steamer in the top, and I put the yarn in the steamer and put the lid on, and I steamed both of these yarns for about 2 minutes. And I started to freak out when I first did it because the yarn started to like scrunch and they started to become like, it looked like misshapen plastic where it's like melting. And I thought maybe the thread was breaking down, but it actually wasn't the thread. It was the crimp coming back into the merino. And it has ended up making really perfectly balanced yarns. And the places in this yarn where the rickrack worked and where it really looks like rickrack is because it blocked out really quite nicely. Or it steamed quite nicely. So that was a really cool technique to try. And I'm not sure that I would want to spin an entire 4 ounces in this way. However, I'd be really interested to see what this yarn looks like woven. Because with enough twist, it would be strong enough to withstand being, in particular, a weft yarn. It would just look really cool. And I wonder what it would look like as a weft yarn. So that was more of my color studies. And I'm eventually going to generate a blog post when I'm finished all of my samples of sort of comparing all the different samples and what I liked about the different ones and what I didn't like, what worked, what didn't work, and some reflections on the 2 colorways. So Breed Studies has been going on in our Ravelry group since July, and I got really derailed with my Breed Studies because right when we started our Breed Studies, we went away for 2 weeks and I didn't work on it right away. And then I had to clean up my crafting room and my crafting area. It's not a room, it's an area. And I put away all of the stuff that was for Breed Studies, and I've just now pulled it all back out. So one of our 3 breed studies that we were doing in the Ravelry group, and if you're interested in more about color studies or breed studies, please just head over to the Ravelry group. This is not a Patreon only thing. This is for everyone. One of our 3 fibers was baby llama that we were studying. And so I started looking in Sarah Anderson's book of yarn designs, and I was looking at some of the past Ply magazine issues. And for some reason, I kept coming back again and again and again to boucle. And I've been really curious about boucle since I first heard about it a few years ago. And for some reason, I've just never tried it. But these rickrack yarns kind of gave me the confidence that I needed to delve into the world of boucle. And so one evening I sat down at my wheel and I took the bobbin of singles that I had spun of the baby llama, figuring I would just ply it back and do a traditional 2-ply. I took that bobbin of singles and I made a boucle. And it's perfectly balanced. I have no idea how I achieved that, but it is. And it's got these really cool areas where it's just perfectly looping. And it just looks awesome. It's a really cool technique. I wouldn't use these particular binders again if I was to do it again. One of the binders was quite a very fine 100% cotton 2-ply. The thing about it that was annoying was because it was plied Z, so going to the right, I couldn't use it in the second step to bind the baby llama when you go to do your, they're kind of like coils, what you do on your core yarn. So to make a boucle, I'll just back up a sec. To make a boucle, you spin your singles and you want a fiber that doesn't bend very easily. You want a fiber that kind of loops and creates these loops. So like alpaca, llama, mohair, Wensleydale, Border Lister, Teeswater, any of those sort of long fibers that loop and create those curly cues and lock formation. I've seen really cool boucles out of BFL, Blue Face Lister. so they work really beautifully, and so that's why I wanted to try the baby llama. So you spin a bobbin of singles, and then you need a core yarn that you basically use differential plying techniques. So you take your bobbin of singles and you hold your core yarn out from the orifice towards you, and you basically wrap the bobbin of singles around the core yarn, creating these areas of coils basically, and you push them up to create these loose looping coils. And then after you've got that bobbin full of this sort of spiral, it's not spiral ply, I keep wanting to say that, it's more of like a loose, there's a word I'm looking for and I forget what it is, but basically you're sort of creating these loose coils. Once you have your bobbin full of that, then you ply it back again Z with a binder, and that's what holds all of those loops and spiral, those loops and coils that you had originally made. And that's what holds it all in place. You need a binder because otherwise all that stuff slides up and down your core yarn. There's nothing to anchor it. And because these particular types of fibers like to curl and make these loops, they do tend to move a lot, and that's why you need the binder. So what I used for my binder, I really actually wanted to use for my core, and then I wanted to use a thread for my binder, but it was quite late at night by the time I was doing the actual applying, and I didn't want to start making a bunch of noise to find stuff, and it just meant that my core and my binder combined are quite heavy compared to the fineness and the delicateness of the baby llama. So I would maybe use a thread as a binder next time and use one of those yarns which was, because my core was 100% cotton as well, that was S plied. And I think I would use that as my binder, as my core again, and then use a thread for my binder. I hope that was clear. Sometimes it's hard to articulate some of this stuff and how I make it. And I feel like I should have a camera on me all the time, but I don't know if that would be interesting or not to film some of how I make these yarns. I'm not sure. You guys should tell me if that would be interesting. So for spins in progress, I have 4 things that I'm working on, and I said I'm not going to show my fireside today, so I'm just going to chat about these. I have something off the loom that is hand spun, but it's not washed, and it's way too long. I wanted to make a scarf, and it's about probably a third too long compared to what I was going for. So I haven't washed it yet, so I'm going to full it and see how long it is then. And I will hopefully chat about this next week. But yes, this is fresh off my loom. Yes, this is hand spun. I put some locks, I wove some locks into the weft. So I'm excited to chat about that, but I'm going to save it for next week because I need to wash it still, and I want to share some of my reflections about that. So I had talked about my camel silk a couple weeks ago. I haven't made any major progress on it, but I thought that I would share with you a really quick example of my spinner's control cards for this particular project, because these are my singles, and I hope you can see this clear as mud, but basically these are my singles that I'm spinning. Here's my bobbin, and I'm about 25 grams into this spin, and I'm spinning it over the fold off the top. So I'm holding the fiber like I had shared with you guys over my finger, and I'm spinning off the top of my finger. I'm basically folding the fiber in half, so it's creating this beautiful sheen. And this hanging off here is my 2-ply sample, and this will be roughly how I ply, but what I'm going to do is ply it, and then I'll put it back through the wheel again, because I'm hoping to turn this yarn into a cable ply. So this is my sample of what my cable will hopefully look like, and that is sort of the beginnings of that project. I think it's going to take me quite a while because I am spinning so fine, and I have all of this to spin. Like, it's quite a lot, and it's a 50-50 camel silk, so it's very delicate, and I just love the colors. It's just beautiful. This is from my friend Lynn, who is West Coast Color, and I'm looking forward to seeing her at Fibers West in a couple of weeks, because she will be there, and I'm curious to see what she's going to have with her. I'm not planning on buying a lot, but I would like to get 1 or 2 things from her. I like to support her. Fibers West, before I forget, I will be vending with my friend Katrina of Crafty Jacks. We will be there. Please come by and say hello if you are around, and introduce yourself. I love to meet people who watch the show and are active in the Ravelry group and whatnot. Even if you're not, please come and say hello. And I hope that that you come and say hi. I will have my Spinolution Mach 3 with me. As I've said before on the show, it will be for sale as a demo. And you'll have a chance to try it if you'd like to just come by and try it. So please come by. I dyed up about 1.5 years ago, maybe even 2 years ago now, some Wensleydale. I thought that I had felted this braid of fiber, and I thought that I had really treated it badly. But I was cleaning up my craft area, like I said, and I found it. And I decided to just take the plunge and break it apart. I broke it into four strips of fiber, and this is actually on my Lendrum right now, and I'm spinning it up because I started to pull it apart and I was like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely perfect. It is dyed perfectly. There is no felting, no fulling, nothing. It is absolutely perfect. So I am actually spinning up. These are my singles, and this is my 2-ply sample. I'm spinning it very fine, and I'm not sure, but I might turn it into a boucle because my mom, we were over at my parents' house today, and I was up in her art room, and I was looking through some of her sewing stuff and through some of her threads and stuff, and she has the perfect purple to use as a binder for this. So I asked her if I could have it because I knew that she wasn't using it and wasn't going to be using it. And she said, absolutely, just take it. And so I might actually make this into a boucle because of that purple thread. So I will keep you posted because I'm actually quite excited about it now. And it's not that I wasn't before, but now I'm like really excited about this project. So I will keep you posted. I have a spindle project on the go, and this is actually, here's the purple thread. This is it here. Isn't that perfect? Oh, it's just gorgeous. So I'm really looking forward to using that. I have a little bit of Katrina's newest hand-painted colorway. This is Lava Love, and this is on Targi. I love the purples in this, and I'm really enjoying spinning it, and it's kind of become my take-along project. I'm about halfway through the spin, and I'm doing it on my Turtle Made. And for those who don't know what Turtle Made spindles look like, this is a 3D printed Turtle Made spindle. They've come from Pennsylvania. I will link to them in the show notes. And this is my first turtle done, and I think I'm going to do a 2-ply. I was kind of thinking about Navajo plying it to keep the colors together, but I also kind of want to see what they look like when they barber pole. So I'm kind of torn. I'll keep you posted on what I decide to do, but that's been my take-along project. The Targi is very springy, and it's spinning up really, really nicely. I'm finding it really easy to keep my distance of draft really consistent. I haven't been pre-drafting per se, but I have been sort of, as I get to sections, I've been kind of gently pulling them apart like that, like just ever so slightly, maybe like a 1/4 inch. And the fiber is just drafting just beautifully. It's just really, really easy to work with. It's very springy. I always think of Targi. Targi always feels like Rambouillet, or it almost kind of feels a bit downy to me sometimes. And this one does in particular. It's got that bounce that Cormo has, and like Rambouillet, and I really like it. I really like what it looks like when it's finished after it's washed, because it just blooms. And it's just been a nice take along. The kids really like the colors, so they keep saying to me, I really like your yarn, Mummy, which is cute. And I actually I am working on my combo spin, but I did put it down while I was working on the Targi because it kind of just started to feel a little bit overwhelming. And this is a bobbin of Romney. So I didn't share with you last time when I started talking about this as to why I chose to spin it the way that I'm spinning it. So Romney is a slightly longer stapled fiber, and this particular prep was a combed top. And when I started to pull the combed top apart, it was just absolutely perfectly aligned. All of the fibers were really, really parallel. And it didn't, sometimes when you start to pull apart comb top, it almost kind of looks like it's supposed to be comb top, but it's kind of a bit jumbly and it's not super parallel. But this one was perfectly parallel. Like I didn't even have to reef on the fiber to pull it apart. It just started drifting apart because it was so beautifully prepped. This was from Spunky Eclectic from Fiber Club about a year ago. And so I started drafting it by hand like I just was with the Targhee, and the fibers were just very naturally drifting apart away from the comb top in like clumps of like half a dozen fibers. And so as I was twisting them with my hand, one sec, they were just very naturally sort of grasping together in these really, really fine lengths of fiber. And I thought, I wonder what Romney would look like as a 2-ply lace. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm gonna I actually ended up increasing the ratio that I was spinning it on. So I started on 10-1 and I upped it to 8-1 because I just wasn't, I started on 8-1 and I upped it to 10-1 because I couldn't get enough twist in. Like it was drifting apart a little bit when I would pull it out of the wheel and ply it back on itself. So I'd kind of gone from too much twist when I was doing it by hand to not enough when I was putting it into the wheel. So I decided to spin it at 10-1. And so far it's making a really beautiful singles. And I'm going to make a lace 2-ply. And I think I'm going to ply to balance. I'm not going to try to ply it tighter or less. It'll probably look underplied when it's finished after I wash it and everything. But I'm just going to apply it to be just ever so slightly more than balanced so that when it's finished, it'll just hang perfectly. And I'm hoping that it'll eventually become a lace shawl. I've been looking at the half hansel, I think it's called, by Gudrun Johnston. I think I'll have enough for the border. And then I would just need I have some more Romney in my stash that I'll spin for the body of the shawl. So that's what I'm thinking right now. We'll see. I really want to make a hat this year, so I need to figure out how I'm going to do that. I think that's long enough for today, and I've been sitting here chatting at you for a long time, and I'm starting to lose my voice. I'm still a little bit coming out on the other side of this cold. I want to thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope that you are all doing something really fibery this weekend and really wonderful. And until next week, happy spinning. Bye, guys.